I'm not a professional presenter, so I'm a little bit nervous standing up here because I kind of sometimes have imposter syndrome in the role that I am, and maybe I'll explain that with how our collective journey came to be. What I guess we were asked to talk about was kind of our collaboration with SD76, but to get to that point, I'd like to kind of show you guys some of the things that we do in the schools, as well as explain and show you what shared experience looks like. So to start off, the first thing we'll do is, what are these 3 items?
Rock, paper, scissors.
All right. Anybody in here know how to play rock, paper, scissors? Anybody here like free money?
Yeah.
All right. So here's the rule to the game. So when I say go, stand up, find a partner, play rock, paper, scissors. So I'll explain why we played rock, paper, scissors. That's something that we do when we go in to do presentations for students, but I'll explain it at the end. And it hopefully will make some sense. But to get to that explanation, I guess I got to tell you a little bit about me. I started seeing a psychiatrist in the 6th grade because of suicidal ideation. So I'm going to talk about some heavy subjects. So if you guys have dealt with firsthand, death by suicide or an overdose death in the last while or throughout your life, please don't leave. If you have to leave, find somebody to talk to. But again, 6th grade, uncomfortable in my own skin, irritable discontent, didn't like who I was. Suicidal ideation became a thing. I didn't know what that was, but my parents identified it. I started seeing professionals. In the 7th grade, I found alcohol. And when I found alcohol, life shifted for me. All that irritableness, all that discontent, all that selfish kind of feelings of not belonging went away, and I fit in. I could be something, right? I was a star football player, star athlete, really good at school, got really good grades, but on weekends I drank, and I drank to just feel normal. That progressed pretty quickly into hard drugs. I kind of skipped the entire weed phase of some people's lives, but still the consequences of being me weren't significant enough to make me stop. Right? I went to college, took petroleum engineering technology at SAIT. Again, lived the college lifestyle, drinking, drugging, doing those things, but no consequences, right? I would lose relationships, I would, hurt people, but I didn't think I had a problem, right? Even though I grew up in a home with an alcoholic father. I had a great career. I work in oil and gas, I still do. I traveled the world, and I could justify my drug use and alcohol use because I wasn't hurting anybody. I tried to get help in 2010. I went to rehab. I came out of that rehab feeling really, really good, but nobody had ever told me, what the disease of addiction or alcoholism was. I had never met somebody who could explain to me what I was going through their shared experience. I suffered for another 4 years of hard drug and alcohol abuse until I got to a point it was either die or do something. And I walked into the rooms of a 12-step meeting and I met a man named Mark. And he told me that I could get to a place of recovered if I did some certain things. But more importantly, he shared his story with me, and his story was what I was going through. The emotions, the pain, the loss. But on the flip side of that is how he got well. And I was desperate. And I did exactly what I was supposed to do, and my life changed quickly. After doing what Mark had suggested, I spent the next 6 years helping people, constantly helping people. I have dealt with overdose death. I've dealt with loss by suicide my entire life. But how our collective journey came to be was on May 29th, 2020. This is where I might get emotional. My wife's world was rocked because she had never dealt with any of those things. She had a friend circle that was so close-knit and so tight, and I'll never forget the screams and the pain of her voice when her best friend took his life. I can deal with that. I've dealt with it. But to see somebody that you love have to go through it for the first time shifted something in me, because I was so anonymous in a 12-step room that if you didn't walk in there looking for support or help, I wasn't looking for you, right? And my partners Ryan on the, I guess your guys is right, and Rick on the bottom left, we decided to do something about that, to not be anonymous in our recovery, because my life had gotten so good, I felt like we needed to take action. So Rick and I had been talking about doing something. We didn't know what to do. So Ryan at the time was working with CMHA, and we went to World Suicide Awareness Day in September 2020. That weekend, 4 more individuals in Medicine Hat took their own lives, right? So the enormity of what was happening in our community drove us to do something, and we didn't know what to do, but we had a coffee for 3 hours one day, and we just talked. And at the end of that conversation, somebody said, well, we should have recorded a podcast because people should hear what we talked about. And very quickly, we started reaching out to people in the community that could support us in sharing a message. Right at the height of the pandemic, when people were in their homes and people were suffering, we thought, what better way to get a message out than via some kind of a medium, right? And the universe conspired to help us, and that put people in our path who were willing to do something for free. And they recorded podcasts, and people wanted to get on board, and people started reaching out. And we didn't know what we were doing, to be honest. All we were doing was saying yes, meeting people where they were at, and attempting to help them to get to where they wanted to go. Which very quickly turned into something that we thought was cutting edge. We thought, man, we're 3 brilliant dudes in Medicine Hat doing something very, very special. But the more research we did, the more professionals we talked to, we weren't. We were 3 individuals that were doing something called recovery coaching. I'm a 12-step based person in my recovery journey, but what we were doing is we were helping people get to where they wanted to go. Some people didn't want 12-step, and that was fine, but we were there just facilitating their goals, walking with them assertively to whatever agency was out there that they wanted to go to, right? We also very quickly realized that during the height of the pandemic and even to today, a lot of agencies that are doing amazing work in our community were at capacity, and people were just walking in, not being able to be supported, or not being a right fit, and they would walk away, and off they would go, and that was their last chance at their life in some examples, right? So we linked up with some professionals down in the eastern part of the United States that taught us about recovery coaching, taught us about how we could use and share our personal experiences to help others, right? So all the things that we were doing, the testimonial I just gave you, sharing a bit of my story, just like that man Mark did in that 12-step room, might be the catalyst that causes somebody to relate. And then we can build a relationship with that person and support them and getting them the support that they deserve and they need, right? It can be very lonely and scary when you don't know what to do, but you know that you need to do something. We have a team of people that are trained in recovery coaching that can support today, right? And that led us to a unique opportunity with SD 76, Prairie Rose, and the Catholic School Board. So because of the podcasts, because of us just saying yes over and over and helping people, Tracy Hensel, Mark Davidson, and Claire Peterson with SD 76 had an opportunity to look at what was happening in our region and to get some funding to do or to collaborate with outside the box thinking organizations that might be of service to the students in the schools, right? So what we did is over the next 6 months, we developed a plan with SD 76. We hired coaches that have taken all the training. Not everybody within our collective journey is a recovered alcoholic or addict. Several members of our organization are children of people that have had addictions or substance use disorder or alcoholism. But all of us share a common thread that we've been affected by mental wellness and addictions. We spoke to all the administrators within SD 76, Prairie Rose, and the Catholic School Board. We've talked to all of the faculty in separate presentations. And more importantly, we've presented to 800 students up to this point. So in May of this year, we rolled out this program. So we have 2 full-time coaches, 2 part-time coaches, a program director, and myself. And of those 800 students, over 600 of them have said that they would talk to or receive support from an our collective journey recovery coach if the opportunity presented itself. What we're in there to do is to basically plant seeds. We full well know that, I wasn't a full-blown alcoholic and addict in high school, but I was well on my way. And so we use our shared experience, not so much in what alcoholism and addiction did to us, but what were the feelings I was experiencing in high school that led me to drink. We talk about the things that we missed out on because of that and try and make it relatable, age specific for the students. Currently, as of yesterday, 39 students have had direct support through our collective journey where they've been assertively linked to professionals, whether it's counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, whatever that is. So 39 students in the last 2.5 months. And just as important, we're supporting their families. So substance use disorder or children that are having struggles with whatever they're going through, there's something in the background that may be going on. And so we've been able to connect with family members through their child and support them on their recovery journey. So all of what we did at our collective journey was in support of trying to make a difference in our community. And this program here is allowing us to maybe plant those seeds at a pretty early age so that maybe before they get so far down the path where it's hard to get back from, they can arrest it or they can come and talk to guys like myself. Now, I'm not a teacher, I'm not an authority figure. I stand up here, the reason I roll up my sleeves is I want to show you that I look a little different than somebody that goes into a school, right? And that makes us better at breaking down that barrier with students. So when we talk to Tracy Hensel or Claire Peterson, they have all these amazing programs, but some students just don't want to reach out. But when I go in there and listen, this is the cleanest I've spoken in a long time. If I drop an F-bomb by accident or I swear or I show up in my authentic self, some of those students reach out and they reach out quickly. And that's where the magic happens. And I think that's why they asked us to be a part of it is, they're not asking us to be something we're not. I stand up here and all of my character traits and all my flaws, and that's who goes in there. But we do it from a place of true compassion, and we want to just be there for our community, right? So the things that we're not, which is almost as important as who we are, is we're not social workers. We're not counselors. We're not therapists. We're not crisis workers. We're not these things. There are people in this community that do those things. What we are is we're a bridge. We will get you to these professionals to help you with what you're going through because of what I just said. Maybe we break that barrier down. Maybe I can share my story of addiction and alcoholism in a relatable manner that allows you to say, hey, that guy gets it, right? And then I can get you where you need to go, where you can deal with the trauma, you can deal with the things that you need to deal with. I'm not that guy, right? But I'm gonna walk with you and make sure you get there, because walking there alone sucks, it's hard, and some people don't get there, right? I don't know how to play this, but this is, at the end of the day, has anybody ever seen the TED Talk, How to Create a Movement? Some people have seen it. For those that haven't, this was our original idea. So this is us. We were the lone nut at the beginning, just trying to do something to stop the pain. Stop the pain in my family selfishly, but in turn, stop the pain in our community. And what we found is that we get to be with all of you guys. I stand up here and I shouldn't be in this room. That's how I feel. You guys do amazing work and have done it for a long time. I'm just on the tail end figuring out how this works and just trying to make a difference. If I could get to the next slide. Yeah, here. This is why. That's my family. They've never seen me drink, they've never seen me drug, but they've seen me struggle at times, and I want to model for them what a man looks like, right? That's the generation that's gonna change things, and it's imperative that somebody like Rick, Ryan, and I become the tip of the spear and make sure that we're the catalyst that's causing change in our community. And I hold no shame on being an addict and alcoholic, I did for a long time. And maybe just me sharing that and doing something about it will change how they grow up, right? And it starts in this room and it starts in our community. Something we don't talk about often in the recovery community is how Medicine Hat is thriving. There are people from all over Canada coming to Medicine Hat to get well, and they're staying in Medicine Hat, right? We want to join you guys. You guys have been the leaders doing it for a long time. So just like the TED Talk, let's all do it together. I can dance in my little jean shorts. But yeah, that's what we do and who we are, and hopefully we can collaborate with you guys to support your organizations and be more in this community. So I look forward to meeting you guys after and answering any questions. All right. Oh. Alcohol weren't my problem. Drugs and alcohol were my solution. You know, when I go back to the 6th grade, I was thinking about taking my life well before I had my first drink. So as crazy as it sounds, alcohol probably helped me and saved me, right? Something inside of my head just was off. I didn't like who I was, and that alcohol helped me. So changing the narrative about what addiction and alcoholism really are was a big part of what the podcasts were at first, was to talk to people from a firsthand kind of story, what that is. Because when you're in the rooms of 12-step, you know, you're anonymous. You can't do those things. I'll never tell you what 12-step I'm in, but I'll tell you I'm recovered, and I'll tell you what the disease is, and hopefully I can support you and change that narrative for the community. Yeah. Cool, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes, sir.
I'm just glad to hear you talk about recovered in the past tense instead of the present continuing. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, that one word changed my entire life. You know, when I went to rehab, it was always, you're gonna be recovering, you're always gonna be sick, and that was the message I had. And I remember, take my solution away, which was drugs and alcohol, Damien goes batshit crazy. You know, I had to replace it with something that caused me to not hate who I was, and the actions I was doing just weren't fulfilling that. And I thought, if I'm always gonna be sick, I'm just gonna drink and drug, because at least I don't hate who I am. But when I heard that I could get well and I could recover, man, that changed my whole life. And it's helped hundreds of other people change theirs too. That's just in Medicine Hat, hundreds and hundreds. So, wow. I think I've used up my 15 minutes.
Okay. More note, it's all good.
Any other questions?
We got time, so don't worry about the time.
Yes, ma'am.
Doing other sessions outside of the school jurisdiction
Like sessions as in like,
in the community?
yeah. So one of the base things at the beginning of what Rick and Ryan and I were doing was we say yes to everything. So when some organization or group of people want us to share our stories or talk about who we are, we'll show up. Full well knowing, like even in this group of people, there may be an addict or an alcoholic, right? So planting those seeds and just making sure that we're not anonymous in the sense of, you know, being picky and choosy. We show up and we make sure that we share our testimonial. We do have a recovery meeting. It's called Pathways to Recovery every Thursday at the every second Thursday at the library, where it's people that are, you know, either in active addiction or in early recovery are talking with people that aren't in or have no experience with, you know, substance use disorder, family members, and they're sharing and they're collaborating and they're talking about the resources that they have, and more importantly, they're supporting one another. We are working with the Palix Foundation out of Calgary to develop some resiliency kind of coaching to go into different realms, as well as some stuff with Medicine Hat College with some programming to potentially take into there to be taught to their addictions counseling students at some point. So lots of things going on, especially since it's 3 dummies that we're just trying to help people, right? Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.